Good afternoon, YouTube viewers and subscribers. What I've got here today is yet another customer repair engine. It's actually from the same gentleman that sent me the OS91 Surpass. Today's engine, though, is a Magnum XL52RFS with, surprisingly, the exact same symptoms. Low compression, maybe run a year and a half ago, no after run oil use. So exactly the same type of situation as the Surpass engine. So let's take a look at this guy. Let me see, let me zoom in just a bit more here. Okay, so initial inspection of this engine shows it's got some kind of nasty looking red RTV sealant on the exhaust port, which leads me to believe that they thought that this engine leaked, but I don't really see evidence of any heavy leakage on here, although I'm feeling this thing's just a mess. Let's see if this thing even wants to, this nut even wants to turn. Okay, does want to turn. I don't see like a lot of residue on this muffler that would indicate a reason for sealant like this. I mean, typically people do that if they've got a leak that they can't seal, but I'm not seeing any evidence that this thing leaked at all, so I don't know what's going on with that. Again, let me look at the fasteners. Fasteners look like they're in good shape. Some of these are kind of dirty. I'll have to clean them out a little bit. Now this is weird. This one here is more rusty looking than all the others. Not sure I understand that. There's also, this header has some, hi Chloe, has some discoloration here, which is different than any of the other areas of the engine, which is strange. So let's see here. Let me zoom back out. Let's see check the compression. Well, first of all, it feels kind of rough. I hear sucking somewhere. Hear it? It's got compression. Just feels really rough. So again, this is probably one of those things where I'm going to start off by putting oil inside this thing and turning it over by hand first, and then maybe with the starter. The front bearing, or the bearing itself, feels kind of stiff and rough. Let's see if I can look at the top of this piston here. Okay, yet again, let's go zoom in here. Yet again, the top of this piston looks damn near brand new. So it looks like we have two engines with very low runtime that were not properly stored for whatever reason, not oiled after storage, and allowed to sit for at least a year. This just feels rough. I'm just going to put some oil in this thing through here, maybe through there. Maybe I'll just go ahead and pop this back plate off here real quick and put some oil in there and see, and then in here obviously we'll oil these things up and see what happens. I'm not going to turn the camera off because I think it's important, especially for the customer, to see the condition of this. I may end up having to just speed the video up so it's not taking so long. So I'll stop talking. Now that looks really nice in there. Dry, but not rusty at all. Let's see if we can see that exhaust. Yeah, see that exhaust lobe is moving. So that bearing looks fine. Put this back on here. Okay, so the Magnums typically do come with a gasket, and it's a real thin, clear gasket, which this one just came right off, so just going to make sure that I don't lose that. And get it positioned properly. There we go. Okay. Alright, so, again, looks pretty damn new in there. Looks like there's a little bit of, yeah, there's definitely some surface rust on that counterweight there, but again, it's one of these things where it's just dry. Now this is one of those things where folks just oil the engine, properly shut the engine down after a season or a week or whatever of flying by pulling the fuel line, letting all the fuel run out of it, and then putting some after run oil in it if it's going to be stored long term, doing exactly what I'm doing here. Put it in there like this, or you can just inject it in here, rotate it around, and you eliminate a lot of these kind of problems just by simple 5 minutes worth of proper care, and you don't have to have this stuff happen. That's my public service announcement for proper care of your engine, whether it's a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke. You paid money for it, and it takes 5 minutes to properly take care of it. Why not do it? See, I've even got oil coming out of here now, so I know I got quite a bit in there. Put just a hair up here. And I'm going to go heat it again, because heating it up and heating the oil will help it get in all of the locations that it needs to get into. Now I do want to pop this rocker arm cover off and see the condition of those. Okay. Damn it, I didn't know I had all this stuff. I was so zoomed in again. Drop some oil down there. So, oof, wow. We have compression now. Oh yeah. Just by doing that, just by putting some oil in, I don't like the way that thing looks. I'm going to oil that up too. Oil these heads up. Just by putting some oil in there. Wow. This thing has got some compression now. Now, it may still be that the bearings aren't great, but just by doing that, I've simply restored what seemed to be a low compression engine initially, or at least that's what was sent to me for. So I'm going to go heat this up, put a prop on it, spin it over. Actually, you know what, I want to put a little bit of drop of oil on this O-ring here too. Anything that's a seal like that can be. Okay, my apologies, I was interrupted by a phone call there, so I kind of cut the video short. But since the call, I did finish putting this all back together, the cover on. I think I already had that done. I went outside with the heat gun, heated this engine up a little bit, put a prop on it, just any old prop I grabbed, and I spun it over pretty good. Now it's not hot, it's warm. I spun it over pretty good, and it's got great compression. I mean, and that bearing feels a lot smoother now. I think they were just dry. So this is again another one of those situations where, you don't know for sure if the bearing's good or not unless you pull it out and look at it. From my feel here, it feels fine now. It did feel kind of rough initially, but now that there's oil in there and lubrication, it feels good. So yet again, I think this is going to be one of those situations where I'm not going to disassemble this engine first. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go and put this on the stand, and I'm going to run it and see if running it with some fuel in there, if there's any other carbon deposits or anything, which I really didn't see any carbon deposits back here at all. there's any carbon deposits in there, hopefully it'll kind of loosen those up, blow those out. But I mean, this engine feels fantastic right now. I mean, it's got really good compression. It sounds good. So, I mean, again, routine maintenance, keep the engine oiled, and you shouldn't have issues with it. So, I'm not going to tear this engine down. Next step for this is to take it out on the bench and give it a run and take it from there.